Imagine this. For centuries, the world trusted gold. Nations hoarded it, defended it, built empires upon it. But now, in 2025, something is shifting. Countries are quietly asking, why carry heavy gold when you can hold digital gold? Why invest in stocks tied to one economy when you can invest in a global ledger visible to anyone? This isn't just speculation, it's strategy. And today, you're going to see why an entire handful of nations may be handing over the gold bars and picking up Bitcoin instead. 1. Gold's reign and the traditional reserve model. For decades, gold was the ultimate safe haven. Central banks held it as insurance. When storms hit economies, inflation, wars, currency crashes, gold stood tall. In early 2025, gold reached near $4,000 plus per ounce, reflecting mounting global uncertainty. Survey data shows 76% of central banks expect their gold holdings to rise over the next 5 years, yet already cracks appeared. For the first time since 1996, central banks collectively hold more gold than U.S. Treasuries. Enter Bitcoin. Digital gold. New paradigm. Now, layer in Bitcoin, a digital asset with a fixed supply, globally auditable ledger, borderless transactions, in many ways the opposite of gold's centuries-old tradition. In October 2025, Deutsche Bank concluded that central banks may hold Bitcoin alongside gold by 2030 due to its rising institutional acceptance and hedge value. One headline said, Bitcoin becomes a cornerstone of financial security. Even though some like the Swiss National Bank still reject Bitcoin due to volatility, the shift in thinking is underway. 3. Why nations are rewriting their reserve playbook. Why would a country choose Bitcoin, or at least seriously consider it, over gold or stocks? Here are the reasons. A. Dollar dominance fading. Since 2000, the U.S. dollar share of global reserves has dropped from 60% to around 41% in 2025. With sanctions, trade wars, and debt piling up, nations want alternatives. B. Gold's limitations and shifting trust. Gold is heavy, slow to move, and still tied to geopolitics and access. In contrast, Bitcoin is digital, globally transferable in minutes, and less encumbered. Gold still rises, but one article noted gold lost $2.5 trillion in just 2 days, while Bitcoin held better. That's a psychological shock. C. Strategy for emerging economies. Countries with weak financial systems or high inflation are seeing crypto as escape. The narrative flips. In some nations, gold and traditional reserves aren't enough. Digital assets offer agility and modern portfolios. D. Institutional adoption and technology. Crypto infrastructure matured. Firms, banks, and governments now have rails, custody solutions, and regulatory clarity. Bitcoin is no longer a fringe bet. It's becoming an asset class. For the first time, a central bank leader in the Czech Republic proposed investing billions of euros in Bitcoin to diversify reserves. 4. The irony. Gold is still surging, while crypto lurks. Here's the twist. Gold isn't dead. Central banks keep buying it, 830 tons in 2025 so far. One global survey found that in 2025, gold outperformed Bitcoin year-to-date by 25 to 30%. So why talk about dumping gold for Bitcoin? Because the shift isn't immediate, it's strategic. Some nations continue with gold now while quietly building exposure to digital assets for the future. 5. What it means for you and when the real shift hits. If countries are rewriting the rulebook, then your mindset needs to shift too. Here's how. Diversification matters more than ever. Don't just think stocks or gold. Crypto is entering reserve class territory. Timing is critical. If governments begin moving reserves into Bitcoin, it could trigger a massive institutional wave. Watch the macro intelligence. Trade wars, sanctions, dollar weakness. These are the triggers for major reserve diversification. The next few years, 2025 to 2030, could be the period where crypto moves from speculative to strategic asset, and nations are already quietly prepping. Final thought and a wake-up call. So let me ask you, If gold was the crown jewel for centuries, what happens when a digital rival rises? If countries once trusted banks and treasuries, what happens when they treat Bitcoin as a reserve tool? This isn't just hype. It's a tectonic shift in global finance. If you want to stay ahead of this wave, follow me, hit subscribe, and check out the link below for live data, reserve reports, and in-depth crypto news. Let me know in the comments, do you think Bitcoin will surpass gold in reserves by 2030, or will gold remain king?